Hey everybody, welcome to episode 36 of Founders Gyan. Thanks for tuning in. Each week we bring you the inspiring story of a startup and the founder behind it. This week we have another great guest on the show. He is Mr. Anshuman Mishra, the co-founder of mercadioedu.org. That is mercadeoedu.org. Mercadio is a Spanish word that means marketing, and this platform is trying to educate professionals and students on marketing. They want to create certificates for marketing that is equivalent to, say, a CFP certificate that you get for finance. We had a great time in recording this show and hope you enjoy it. Do check out foundersgyan.com/EP36 for the show notes, and please do share this link with your friends if you like it. Also check out foundersgyan.com/top for the top listened podcasts on our platform. Alright, fasten your seatbelts and get ready for the drive. Anshuman, welcome to the show. I'm super excited to meet you and be chatting with you today. A quick brief on Anshuman. He is the founder and CEO of Mercadio Education, that is mercadioedu.com. Mercadio is an online platform for marketing certification in India. We'll go into some details a little later on the show. And IIT and IIM alumni, Anshuman has worked in various corporates before launching Mercadio. Anshuman, great to meet you, and thanks a lot for taking time out of your busy schedule to share your knowledge, wisdom and time with our listeners. Thank you for agreeing to be on the show.
Hey, thank you, Ram. Nice meeting you as well. It's been an interesting journey, so let's get into it.
So, Anshuman, can you fill in the blanks from the intro about your journey before mercadioedu.com?
So, I am by training an engineer and probably by function an MBA. So, post my MBA, I had worked with Deloitte in the US for some time, and then came back to India, worked as a consultant with KPMG for almost 8 years. Pre-MBA, I was an out-and-out operations guy, Tata Steel, some mining consulting work. So I'm a mining engineer, so it gave me a lot of perspective of life, because I think operations seems to be the biggest mother of knowledge. When I left my MBA, I remember very well I did not have a single finance specialization, and yet I turned into a consultant. And what hit me even then, and what still keeps touching me, is we were all marketing people, right? We did a lot of specializations, so courses in marketing and ops. And when you go out into the field, you realize that what's been taught to you in the books is almost 99% irrelevant, at least for the first 10 years of your life. That's a long time to go without any direction, any clue, except what you're actually doing. There'll always be somebody to reach out to and say, hey, how did you do this? And there may not be somebody to tell you that either. So that's a strange thing which we thought, and that's what led to the creation of Mercadio.
Okay, excellent. So thanks for touching on that. So 2 questions. So can you explain to us a little bit more in detail of what Mercadio does? And obviously you touched a little on the idea. So can you elaborate a little bit more on that?
So Mercadio in Spanish means marketing. And we were very clear that we wanted to focus on the education which happens in the sales marketing domain, right? Couple of things here. One, across the world, and very specifically in developing countries like India, marketing and sales is supposed to be, inborn, inherent. You are just supposed to be a salesman. You are just supposed to hit the ground and sell. Whether you are selling pizzas or laptops, or whether you are selling B2B at Lenovo, or whether you are selling soaps at P&G, you're just supposed to know it all. You're just supposed to get on the ground and figure it out. You have been taught a lot of frameworks in college, sometimes not even that. And I refuse to believe, and I've seen a lot of cases which unfortunately happen that way, that a lot of people actually hit the ground and figure out that what happened in college and those books has almost no relevance to what is happening real life on the ground, right? Real life on the ground is a lot more, spot thinking, is a lot more actual people management, it's a lot more actual number crunching than what you have been taught. And that kind of makes or breaks your career, right? In the first 2-3 years, if you have taken a slip, it's going to take you that much longer to catch up. Or if you actually catch up quickly, doesn't matter how many frameworks the other person has read, you will be miles ahead of them in career. So our focus was, why don't we try and bridge this gap, right? So when we go to people who are now zonal managers, maybe, I don't know, brand managers, people who have handled a couple of brands, have actually risen through the ranks in the past 10 years. All of them have the same concept, that was, wish somebody would have told me this when I was in college, or even when I was fresh out of college. Yeah? Somebody would have told me what the ground reality is, right? Whether I'm selling paint or whether I'm selling pizza. If somebody would have told me that, hey, this is, the Porter's 5 forces, or the, 5 C's and 4 P's and all of that makes zero difference. You need to understand customer, you need to understand the distributor, and there are ways and means of doing that. If somebody would have told me this, I would have been in a far better place, and that's what drove us to create this.
Okay, great. Now, for our budding founders listening out there, please tell us how to come up with a winning idea.
See, I think the latest thing going around is that a winning idea should get you $1 million in a year flat, right? And I think that's a seriously crazy way to look at it. Budding startups, I think there's a lot of lure of easy money. A lot of people come up with an idea, and then the next thing they want to do is have a valuation and a Series A. Some of them get lucky, and trust me, getting lucky in the first step does not mean that you will keep getting lucky, right? Even a Flipkart took almost 10 years of actual bleeding blood. They were literally bleeding for 10 years and slogging everything off before they could actually start even serious investors into their company. And there are millions of startups which have gone for years and years on bootstrapping and figured out their ways. Nobody funded McDonald's, nobody funded a Cisco when they started. Cisco got funded, of course, but not a MacD, right? MacD guy was 56, out of a job literally, and you see where they are today, right? Or take a look at Haldiram Bhujia wala yaar. Who funded him when he came from Bikaner as a from across the border and came to Bikaner, started up, came back to Delhi, brothers broke up. So when you look at a winning idea, I think the idea has to be more about the customer rather than about either the money or the investor or yourself. It has to solve some genuine issue which the customer has. The idea cannot be the 100th Housejoy, Cleartrip and all of that. The idea cannot be the 200th copy of Zomato, Food Panda, XYZ, all of that. You have seen examples of what happens when people do that. Market gets crowded, things get hot, investors walk out, things collapse. And what happens is, essentially there will be 1 or 2 players left who will be actually running the show. You see the taxi business, everybody tried to be an Uber or a Ola, and you see where the market is today. The idea essentially has to solve some genuine customer problem. And please do not bother about the monetization or the valuations or how many investors you are speaking to, how many multiple rounds of investment you have done. All of that will happen if your idea makes sense, if you have actually started rolling that idea out. And another thing is our grand fixation with ideas. While it's really lovely to see all the startup guys, we have a huge fixation that okay, I have this lovely idea. After 2 beers, everybody gets lovely ideas. And they're ideas, they're as good ideas, trust me. Everybody thinks on Saturday nights that I should be doing this, and Monday morning they're back in office. That is where the difference comes.
So yeah, I think you have nicely led me to the next question, which is, an idea is no good unless you act on it. So can you tell us what are the steps we need to take once we have an idea? Can you walk us through the journey of idea to execution?
Sure, I think it will boil down to 3-4 basic steps. First and foremost, right, find out the practicality of your idea. If you watch the Big Bang Theory, there is a whole episode in which they try to have an app around solving Laplace and Fourier transformations. There will probably be 5 people in the world who will buy that app. So you need to sell them at $500,000 each. So what is the practicality of the idea that you have? It might be a really good idea. It might be a very grand idea. First, find out if it is even practical. Do you have a market? It might be solving a solution, but for how many people? So do you have a market for it? A. B, once the idea is in place and you realize that, okay, there's some sizable number of people who will be looking at this as a solution. Are they the kind of people that you want to deal with? So for example, Cell Cabs or even a Meru Cabs had 6,000 cabs at one time, and there was a company as big as Mahindra who wanted to get into that. They very clearly said, boss, I'm not in the business of handling 6,000 drivers, forget it. Even if this means becoming the next Uber, forget it, not worth it. Third point, how practical is it? Do you have the skill sets between you and your co-founders, or do you need to acquire those skill sets, right? Maybe some ideas are very, very IT intensive, some ideas are extremely on the ground intensive, right? So if you're setting up something like a Grofers or a Big Basket, it becomes as strong on the ground as you will need an IT. And IT probably takes a slightly back step. Whereas somebody like a very app focused thing like an Uber will become very, very IT focused, right? And you will always run into trouble not with the systems but with the people. Always. Systems can be built. You will build systems. The fourth thing, find out somebody, some seed angel who will mentor you, not necessarily put money into you, right? Nobody has all the skills and experiences. No team will be perfect. Find some senior, somebody who will give you 3-4 hours a week to mentor you through some of the tough phases. He may put money into it, he may not put money into it, but please find a mentor. So I think 4 steps. A, how practical is it? B, how large can your audience be? C, how well paying or how long will it take to gestate? Right? D, do you have a mentor who will see you through the rough patches as well?
Excellent. Now let's talk about a personal question. We all hear about founders sacrificing family time to make their ventures a success, and in your case, I know that you work out of Bangalore while your co-founders are in Delhi. So how do you manage to balance business and personal time?
I think much more than time, often you will hit the constraint of money as well. And it always helps if the wife is working, especially if you are at a certain age and you have responsibilities, right? Hopefully you have got rid of all your mortgages and loans before you take the leap, or you are still to get there and you take the leap, which is great. But please don't leave behind any mortgages because it will come back to bite you, right? It helps a lot if you have some source of support. The wife has a job, then makes things a little bit easier. So I'll give you a simple example. Last, I think Diwali, we went shopping. The usual Diwali shopping for the ladies. They have the sales going on at 20 places. Done a lot of shopping, and finally when we were there at the cashier desk, I pulled out her credit card to pay. And after 7 years, her answer was, "Is this what you married me for?" So yes, while money does not make the world go round, it's a very useful grease. You have enough in the bank to make sure that you can survive without beg, borrow, steal for at least 8 to 12 months. And always remember, if you are calculating that you will spend this money in 10 months, the money will go in 6 months flat. Always double your expenses and half your revenues, and make sure that you have some backup support so that tomorrow morning things don't work out, and quite often they won't. None of the successful founders that I know founded the first company and made a success out of it. It's usually the second or third company which makes success, because you learn, right? Till then, you need to have people supporting you, having their faith in you. And as a family, please bring them into business decisions, investing, selling off, putting your money somewhere, getting co-founders. Make sure that they are friendly with your family as well, because otherwise it does not work out. And make sure that your wife knows what's going on, so that tomorrow morning doesn't come at a rude surprise or something, right?
Great. Now, do you have a daily or a morning ritual that you follow? Can you share it with myself and our listeners?
Okay, so since I have a 2-year-old daughter, you really do not have scope for doing anything in the right timing. But typically what people do is the moment they wake up, they jump into a phone, you check your Gmail, your WhatsApp, your everything else, Facebook and all that. Small piece of advice is, when you get up in the morning, keep 5 minutes of me time, right? Do not get into a to-do list the moment you wake up. Spend those 5 minutes quietly by yourself, no matter you wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning or at 9 o'clock in the morning. Spend 5 minutes with yourself. You can lock yourself in the bathroom to do that. Spend 5 minutes, calm your head down and think of the bigger picture that you're here to solve, right? All these to-do lists, the WhatsApp messages, the Facebook notifications are very small, minute, today's job, right? Think of what you're here for a longer vision, right? Some people pray, some people meditate, I don't know. Just spend 5 minutes by yourself. Go out, walk in the lawn, shut yourself in the bathroom, take a long shower, whatever it is that calms you down. Spend 5 minutes trying to give yourself some direction for the day, more than just the to-do list.
Okay, excellent advice. Now, you have 3 co-founders, right? So, can you talk a bit about them, and how did you find these people, and what's your advice for would-be founders to find co-founders? Do you think a co-founder is essential? Do you think single founders are can work out? I mean, single founder companies can work out. What's your advice on the co-founder front?
So I got a set of 2 brilliant co-founders, and I think the success is more entirely due to them than to me. Vikas is somebody I studied with at B School. he was working in the US, and when he heard that I'm leaving my job to do something, he was so enthused that he actually dropped his US job and came back to India to join me in a startup. That's a huge leap of faith. Himanshu is Vikas's engineering batchmate. He's from FMS. He's done his MBA somewhere else. So that's how we got together, right? And the third person is a little out of the fourth co-founder is presently a little unwell, but he's my engineering batchmate. So the reason why we all gel together is because we have seen each other for 10, 12 years, 4 years in hostels, right from morning 6 o'clock when you go to brush your teeth till night 9 o'clock when you're sleeping, or night mess. You have seen the guy. You know him inside out. You pretty much are comfortable in your skin with him, right? So he won't lie, he won't act funny. You have the faith in him that if he's taking a decision, boss, he's thought something behind it. Chalo, kuch to kar hi raha hai. So it takes away the uncomfortableness of you are in enough mess already. You are trying to do a startup, you are fighting on the finance front, you are fighting on the operations front, you are fighting on the labor front, you are fighting on the strategy front, you are fighting with investors, you are having a hard time at home because obviously you are no longer earning and all of that. Addition to all this, you don't want a hard time with your co-founder. Right? It's always better to know somebody. And more importantly, because in case it fails, the typical blame game should not start. Right? In case, right? You should have the maturity between yourselves to understand that, boss, you worked as a team, you failed as a team. Nobody did more or less or something like that. A. B, working alone, what you were mentioning, often has a small problem of how do you brainstorm. You might be extremely talented, you might be really capable of running it through, but nobody is born perfect, right? So unless you have a very strong mentor or you have a team of juniors or somebody, right? Who do you brainstorm against? How do you check your DMPs? How do you check your disaster management plan? How do you check your plan B? How do you create your plan B, right? So that helps.
Okay, so have a co-founder. That's your advice, and try to get somebody right?
Yeah. So typically have a co-founder more for the sense of bouncing your ideas off, and when you are low, which you will be at some point in this journey, who's going to push you up? Yes, your wife is there as a support, and you got a family and all, but essentially they are family, right? When you are in the professional front and you are not feeling very gung-ho right now, so who do you speak to? When you are saying that, okay, this investor was such a ass, or this client is behaving really funny, who do you go and take it off on? Or who comes to you for that matter, right? So yes, it always helps to have a co-founder.
Okay, great. Now, can you tell us something about yourself that is not commonly known?
Why would you want me to put my secrets out in public? What is not commonly known is I'm a certified bartender. I'm a vodka Smirnoff certified bartender, and I do pretty neat cocktails. And in spite of that, I'm a total single malt fan. The other thing that most people probably wouldn't know about me is that I sleep for 10 hours a day, 8 to 10 hours a day. People think that if you're in a startup, you're going to spend 18 hours working and sleep for 3 hours. Boss, it simply burns you out and you are dead before you know it. You need your rest. I need to recharge my cells. It's as simple. So most people think I'm a very hardworking guy, which sometimes I am, but I tend to sleep heavily.
So you should definitely, I should try one of your cocktails, and maybe as a joke, maybe you sleep for 10 hours because while bartending you keep slipping drinks. Keep having one drink for every drink you serve.
That used to be when I started out. Yeah, but trust me, it's not the same.
Okay, so what's the best advice somebody has given you, or alternatively best advice you have heard and try to implement in your startup or in your life?
Professionally, I think it's a very sane piece of advice which a lot of people will give you is, do not bother about where the money will come from or how much valuation will happen. Just follow your passion, boss. Take 6 months off, 8 months off, and just follow your passion. I know people who have actually started becoming a running coach after being a consultant for 12 years. One of my batchmates actually teaches people how to run for marathons and stuff, right? He just followed his passion. He never bothered about who's going to fund it and where will the money come from, what will my valuation be, and he's bloody successful today, by the way. There are people who are doing much smaller things. I know somebody who runs a chain of kid painting classes. So where he actually teaches kids and infants, it's almost like guitar classes but at a fairly higher level. What is the difference between a pastel and a watercolor and an oil color, right? Some kids take to that like a duck takes to water. He's having a gala time and he's never bothered about what's happening. And I know the guy who founded Oyo, by the way. He never bothered about where the money will come from. He started with an idea, spread it to 40 hotels, and today I think he has 1500 hotels, if I'm not wrong, or more. There is somebody who founded Capillary Systems, again, that's a ERP based system. He did not start 10 years back thinking what will be the valuation, or for that matter, even Flipkart here. They started thinking this might solve some issue that most people are facing, and that's my passion. So something like a Venn diagram between, what solutions are you having and what's your passion. Find that middle spot. It's very difficult to do that. It's very, very difficult to do that. But you owe it to yourself. Take a month off. What's going to lose? You've got a 50-year life, 30 years of working life here. 1 month is not going to kill anybody, right? We often think that, boss, I will lose the rat race. Big deal. If you win the rat race, you're just a better rat. So take a month off. Figure out for yourself what is it that you want to do in life. Do you want to be known at the end of your career or end of your age as an awesome consultant? Maybe yes, and then that's your passion, so do that, right? Or do you want to be known as somebody who's probably gone to the villages? I know somebody who spent the last 3 years of his life, and this guy is a batchmate of mine, teaching rural Maharashtra villagers how to read and write so that they can access the government loans without going through a middleman. He's extremely satisfied with life. There's no startup there, but he's exceptionally satisfied. He started on one of those youth leadership programs from SBI and then took this up as a challenge. So plenty of ways to go about it. Please find your passion and please find people who will hopefully pay you for that passion. That's all it takes.
Brilliant advice, Anshuman. I really like it. So follow your passion and also try to find an intersection between your passion and your and something that you can earn out of. I think that is the ideal combination. If you like this show, do follow us on Facebook and Twitter. The link is www.facebook.com/foundersgyan and twitter.com/foundersgyan. Both these provide you daily tips and articles as well as resources to help and inspire your startup. There are multiple tips per day. Some examples of these tips would be articles on the latest startups, growth hacking tips, how do you build team for startups, how to get funding, etc. So don't forget facebook.com/foundersgyan and twitter.com/foundersgyan. Now, we all know that startups come with a lot of pressure. So give us some tips on what we can do when things aren't going so well.
Oh boy, I wish I knew that. I think most people respond to pressure in their own ways. So that's where the whole issue starts from. Yeah, there will be pressure. You don't have a job. There is no regular income coming in. So that's a mental pressure to start with. Secondly, if you have a dependent family, there's going to be a severe moral pressure on you, right? Thirdly, your co-founders will have their own families, and while they were very, happy-go-lucky, jolly guys, all of you sharing a bottle in college, when you're out in the real world, life might be a little bit different, right? They might be more aggressive or less, or different aspects come out. When you're under pressure, you're falling under different aspects. So you really need to be very, very patient. When you have a difficult situation, my sincere advice is either count from 1 to 20 before responding any damn thing or saying anything at all, or even better, whatever you think you should be doing, write it on a piece of paper immediately. Do not mention about it to anyone. You have a very bad situation, the client is beating down your door, the investor is unwilling to pick up your calls, you are really in a mess. Please write down on a piece of paper 5 things that you should be doing right now. Put that paper in the top drawer of your study table, take it out the next morning and read it and see if you want to continue that. Typically most of those 5 things are not what you want to do, right? But it puts things in perspective if maturity is an issue. Second, pick up some form of physical exercise, whether it's swimming or running or whatever. Play cricket if you want to, or go swimming, or go for a long hike once in a while. It burns your stress out, and it's a huge buster in that sense, right? It takes your mind off everything else. You get tired and you can sleep at peace, if nothing else. At the very minimum, if you do a basic bit of yoga in the morning or you run in the evening, it makes you feel better about life. You are healthy, and a healthy mind will always be in a healthy body.
Excellent. Now, can you tell us about one of your worst entrepreneurial moments? I'm sure you have plenty. Can you pick one that you thought was the worst, and how did you turn it around? Or if you are not able to turn it around, what was the lesson you learned from that experience?
Okay, this is something which in different forms and ways hits most startups, right? So we were going through a crunch time, and our investor, our second seed round, was going nowhere, right? The usual thing, investors wanted a slightly higher share than what we were willing to give off, and the money was not coming in spite of promising tomorrow, day after, and it's been almost a month. No money, no running on the ground. We were losing contracts, right? So there were people who were willing to give us a contract who were also acting funny, and for almost a month there was zero sales. For almost a month, I mean, that's suicide for a startup. We did not earn for more than a month. Literally bankrupt. There was no money in the bank, no money to pay basic bills. We were on the verge of shutting down office and just working out of our home even in Delhi. And this was 6 months within we started. We thought we had a lot of savings. So it definitely taught us that, boss, please double your expected expenditure and half your expected revenue straight away. If you expect to earn 100 rupees a month and spend 50, please double the 50 to 100 and half the 100 to 50. Start off with. Be always have a backup plan. Nobody is a sure shot perfect. You will fail. That's a guaranteed. And the sooner you fail, the better for you, because you learn your lessons that much quickly. We were really happy we went through that trying phase within 6 months, because we understood what it means to be on the flip side. We were all 10 years of work ex, used to really good professional lives. That was completely a bad experience for us, right? And it's good it happened, because now we know how to deal with these kind of situations where you have nothing coming from anywhere, or rather things slipping away, because each one of us has learned his own personal lesson that time. We figured out where we lose on the investor. Should I personally have chased him up a lot more? Maybe that was not the right investor for us, which we figured out later. About the contracts, should we have gotten something in hand, in writing? Did we depend too much on a personal tip? So you start learning these lessons, and lessons are always personal. But the sooner you fail, and you are bound to fail, there's no stopping that at all. You are bound to fail multiple times. The sooner you fail and the sooner you get up from that failure, the better you are.
Great. So we were just talking before the recording, and I think the same thing comes to my mind. The master has failed more times than the amateur has even tried, and of course, if you're not failing, then you're not trying anything new. So I think that's great. So let's retouch on Mercado for a bit. What's the future that you envision for your company?
So when we started this, our vision was to create the CFA equivalent in marketing. Now, that's a huge vision, but that's the vision, and we still stick to it. So we got a tie-up with 25 colleges, and our ticket sizes are pretty reasonable. We aim to have at least 1,000 students this year, which is a pretty stiff target. But yes, I think the market is there. As I said, we seem to be solving a genuine problem, and there are enough people interested in it who are willing to pay for it. So yes, there is a market, and we aim to get there. So that's in the short term. In the long term, this will be something which will become as good on your CV as having a PMP or a CFA.
Excellent. Now, can you recommend any books or resources for our budding entrepreneurs?
I could immediately, off the top of my mind, think of 2 books. One is called The 1 Minute Manager, right? It's by Ken, and it's a very, very small book. It's a very thin book, probably 15-20 pages. Nothing much of reading through. It's not like some grand pothi, but it brings about 3 lessons. To be really, really successful, you need to start. The first thing is time management. If you cannot manage time, you cannot do anything in life. So the first thing is how to be good at managing your own time, making those to-do lists and making sure you follow them. What do you do in 1 minute? Second is, how do you handle your people, your team in 1 minute? Praising and reprimanding both. Not more than a minute. Some people get into the mode of, every day morning, okay, go for it, keep pushing. Doesn't work here. After a certain level, you'll just push them to the wall. So that's what I did with my team. Now this is at a very, very operational level, at a very Gyan level, and a lot of people will start laughing at this. I do believe that there is a lot of sense in what the Bhagavad Gita says. right? And especially that one line, do your duty. Whatever else will happen, it's beyond you, right? So follow your passion. The monetizing, the valuations, the bad clients, the good clients, the growth phase, all of that will happen as long as you are seriously passionate about it. And don't be bogged down by saying that a tiny owl failed, or maybe some other company shut down, or somebody. They might have been passionate, but the ingredient to passion is that you need to be practical, right? So just being somebody else's copy doesn't work. It's got to be your passion, right? So saying that my passion is becoming the next Uber doesn't help. So figure your passion out. Every guy as an individual has something within him. So figure it out. I don't know, it could be music, it could be arts, it could be politics, it could be X, Y, Z, whatever. And figure out how to use that passion to solve the common man's problem.
Okay, excellent. We will link those on the show notes, the books. And I just have a couple of more questions. So Mercadio is about 10 months old?
About a year now.
Okay. Would you do anything different if you had to start this today?
No, not really. I don't think I've learned enough lessons in 1 year's time. Yeah, what maybe, and this is something you'll hear from a lot of investors saying, is that do a lot more customer research, do a lot more marketing research. Boss, if you were to sit down and do research, you can do it for the rest of your life. I think you need to jump in. It's like, you start swimming and you learn. You start swimming in a swimming pool and then you go swim in a river or a canal, and then you learn. So there's no going back, or a cycling, right? There's no going back and figuring out what you would have done better. If in the thing of hindsight, everything could have been done better, but when you are there on the ground taking decisions, running, you really do not have the luxury of hindsight. So yeah, I don't think I would have done things very differently from what we are. We would have made those mistakes. We would have learned from those mistakes.
How can our listeners get in touch with you? Are you active on Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter? Do you have a blog? What's the best way to reach out?
The best way is get onto Facebook, Mercadio Education, and sign up for my course, and you get in touch with me straight away. No, but jokes apart, Mercadio Education is where we are on Facebook. On LinkedIn, I am available, Anshuman Mishra /1979 is I think the public profile. I am available on Facebook as well. And we have a blog, but it's not like written by us, it's written by industry experts. If you go to the website mercadioedu.com or .org, remember it's not mercadio.org, it's mercadioedu, mercadeoedu.org or .com, .in, everything. Then that's where you see the blog, the videos, the webinars and all of that. Right at the top we have a connect with us cell number and info, email ID, WhatsApp ID and all of that. Links to our WhatsApp, YouTube, Facebook. So just get onto our website, you are there.
Great. So I just have one final question, but before I get on to that, I just want to take the time to acknowledge and thank you for sharing your knowledge to myself and our listeners. I'm also very grateful for the value you're adding into this world by means of your startup, and good luck with your venture. So with that, we'll move on to the final question. So if there is one gyan that you could give our would-be founders, what would that be? I think I know the answer. It's going to be follow your passion. Is it?
It would more or less be follow your passion. See, I think the one gyan if somebody could give you in life, okay, forget about startups or anything else, would be true to yourself, right? You might believe that, okay, if I join consulting or if I join an iBanking or, I'm going to earn a lot if I join Facebook, or I should join XYZ, or, because everybody is starting up, I should start up. But none of that makes sense. Be true to yourself, please. Find out, what are you good at? Obviously, you might be really good at something which somebody else is doing. Makes no sense, right? And B, please find out what do you like doing? What are you passionate about? Until and unless you answer these two questions and you follow these two from the inside of your heart, you will never be, okay, you might be successful monetarily, but you will never be happy. You will never have done it. You will never have that feeling of, okay, this is me, right? If it means that, your passion is to solve clients' problems, please be a consultant, which is what I did very passionately for 8 years, and I was very happy with doing that. Right? When I left that, I had to really, break my heart and leave that job. That is what it should be for you also. You should not take up an iBanking job or an analyst at a World Bank or whatever XYZ you do, just because, everybody else is doing it, this is the thing to do. Because there is no such thing called the thing to do. everything has its own importance. Find out what is important for you in the long run, not tomorrow, not CV point, not, this is what I show off with. What's important to you inside? That's what makes the difference.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Anshuman, for your time, and it was a real pleasure chatting with you, and wish you continued success in your venture.
Thank you so much, and hopefully people would have, whoever the listeners are, will have the patience to listen to all this. And while most of this will sound repetitive, I'm sure most of the people that you meet say this. I think that's the whole fun of, or rather the whole, the uplifting factor of actually being a startup guy, is that you really don't have to conform to people's expectations. You don't have to conform to, what your boss expects from you, or what, XYZ expects from you. We have all been through that. We went to college because people wanted us to. After college, we took up a certain job because people wanted us to, because that was the hot happening thing on campus. I did something XYZ because my girlfriend wanted me to. I then did some other XYZ because my father wanted me to. Oh boy. The sooner you start doing what you want to do, the sooner you start actually enjoying life. I've had a fairly successful career. I'm sure you met Ganesh before this, right? He was my poster boy for all my life. He's my schoolmate. So he's literally been my poster boy. And I'm sure people have come up to me and said, you have been my poster boy. But while we have been successful doing what we did, we went on doing what people wanted us to do, right? And while there is an age, of course, where you have to do that, when you're out of college, as long as you do not have some severe family responsibilities, please do what you want to do. And that is what will make the difference end of the day. It might be a slower, harder path, but that's the path which will actually get you there.
There you have it, folks. Another inspiring story of a startup and the founder behind the same. Don't forget to check out our show notes over at foundersgyan.com/EP36 for details of what we discussed on the show. Do share it with your friends and subscribe to our show. I'll see you all next week with yet another startup and its founder. Till then, you know what the show was meant to do. I hope you got inspired and do take action on your own startup today. Good luck on your startup adventure, and I'll see you next week. Thanks again for tuning in.